Okay, so let's take one of our 1.5 inch pieces here. Decide, which side you want up, down, where you want it at. I think I'm going to go just like this. Now, tip, just set it down on the table here and line it up. I line it up on the bottom because I put these in with screws. So line it up there and up top. Make sure it's still lined up down here. Top. Grab one of these squeeze clamps. Clamp it in place. Bring the camera closer so you can see what I'm talking about. So line that up. Let me get it off the stand here. So line it up right here where it's pretty close. And then on this end, also line it up on that corner. And then we'll take a pencil and we'll mark the other side of it at both ends so we can put it in our miter saw and make those angle cuts. I'll put my marks on here to show you what I'm talking about. Just get your pencil. Put a mark here and a mark down there. We'll take this over to the miter saw, make our cuts. So we've got our line on there. What you want to do is bring that mark really close to your blade there, and you'll be able to line that up. Lock this miter down because that's not an angle that automatically locks on this miter saw, and make your cut. Now make sure you check this other mark because sometimes these angles don't line up exactly for whatever reason. Just like this one's not lined up, so loosen your saw up. Get it on the right angle, lock it down, and make this cut. So we're going to bring it back over here to our table now, and we're going to make sure this fits. And it does. So we're good there. Now slide this in a little bit. That way when you make your next cut and you fit in, then you can make marks in the middle for your half lap. Okay, so we got our two pieces put in here. They fit. We're going to make a mark here, one underneath, and then we'll go back around on the other side over here. So we'll put a mark. So we put a mark up here on this piece. We're going to make another one down here on the bottom. And we'll go over to the miter saw and we'll take that out of there. We'll make half laps. Now when you're doing these half laps on a miter saw, first off, you're probably wondering what this board is doing here, and I'll tell you about that here in a minute. If you were to try to cut this piece, if you were to try to half lap this, your saw is only going to go, you're going to set your depth stop up here, and your saw is only going to go about halfway. It's not going to cut all your material out. So you got to have something, put a spacer in here in order to help you out. That being said, when you put a piece of wood in there like that, you need to make sure that you come out here to the end put a clamp on it, keep it from going anywhere. Make sure it's straight against your fence back there. That way you know you're perfectly lined up straight. So your depth stop on my saw, this is a Harbor Freight saw. It's right here. It's an Allen screw that you adjust up or down to make your depth. I've got mine set at 3/4 right now. It's half of an inch and a half. When I bring it down, it's going to stop right there. That way it only takes half of this material out, and you can half lap it. We'll do that right now. So here's my 2 lines right here. I'm going to take this material out in between these 2 lines. Try to get this as tight as you can. You can always go back and sneak up on that cut. So I try to get mine as close as I can, because you want a tight fit here. We're going to glue this before we put it into the table, but you still want a tight fit here. You don't want hardly any gaps. If you're painting it, you could put wood putty it, whatever, to cover up the gap, but I'm staining this, so I don't want to use any wood putty or anything like that. So we'll try to get this as close as we can. Make sure that mark's still lined up. Let my guard down, and here we go. And there's your half lap. We'll do the other one the same way, and then I'll be back in a minute to show you how these go together. All right, so we got our 2 pieces half lapped. We're going to take this one, lay it inside here. It's going down with me pushing it with my fingers, so I think it'll be pretty good. Take a mallet. You can see it. Perfect. So now we'll take it and we'll put it inside of our table here. Sometimes you might have to play with this. It'll go. If they went before, they'll go now. You might have to flip it. Flip it around and see if it'll go. But it'll go. You just got to play with it. See? We got it. Now, I use screws to hold this in. Go right down through the top here on both sides and under the bottoms with screws. I'll show you that step too. All right. So, we grab us some screws here. Almost time to restock. You want to put the screw in to where it's going to go into the deepest part of this X. So it's going to be right here on the edge, in the middle. That way you know you don't blow your screw out of the other side. Get it started. Man, I don't want it going crooked like that. Get it started. Make sure you're lined up, especially on the outside. Make sure it's even on the outside. Drive your screw. Didn't come out anywhere. So we're going to do this other side the same way. I don't want to use any glue on this project because it's going to be stained. And I don't want any chance of any glue showing. Because if you don't get glue off, it will show when you stain it.